everyone, this is Arciela. We're back now with part 3 of Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 1. And today I've got my finale team of Ramza, of Arciela, and of Keiss. And guys, this is a long fight, so we're going to just pretty much get right into it. I've got my calls ready. I've got the Squex Airlines team ready. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so everybody, let's get ready to rock and roll with this setup here. I got to say this, I find wave 1 more annoying than wave 2 of this battle, but that's mainly because you have to play the patience game, it feels like, in this first wave. And there's a lot that has to go right with this team so that you can meet the damage race. If you are a patient person, you can get through this wave without having to use that many skills and everything with Ramza, and that's actually a boon for you for the second wave, because if you can save the launches and everything, that's great, especially the LB launches. If all you use is the burst and you save your summon, you will be able to get so much more done in wave 2 without as much headache, I guess, trying to juggle Arciela's turns. Anyway, so this first bit is somewhat of a damage race because we don't have a consistent debuffer, so you want to debuff as much as possible here so that you can keep the orb nice and healthy, at least to race it. So because the second time around it's not so bad because we can burst and everything with Ramza. It's just this first bit until you get to 80%, it's kind of tricky. So you're damage racing it. Another thing is you can't really spam too many hero supports because you need to keep the HP kind of even. If you don't do that, it can be it can actually be impossible to dish out enough damage before the orb would go off in a run. So you actually are better off holding your hero supports until after the 80% mark. So I spam the heck out of these. What is it called? That skill 1 for Keiss. I can't remember its name right now. Wow. Embarrassing. But yeah, so thankfully this Knock Wall's Vengeance is going to get them both under 80% at the same time, which is going to make things a lot easier. And if you have their turns locked with HP silence, the sap from Keiss's LD will actually knock them to 0 so that you can easily break them the next turn. Or of course you can use Ramza's Shout. Or you can launch and use Brave Plus from our boy Keiss here, and that'll knock their Brave to 0 as well. So those are your options when we're dealing with the orb. Or not the orb, but the Aqua Power here. It's really something. So if they have capacity break on from Arciela here, they don't actually give themselves the huge brave gains, which is fine, but you gotta wait till they actually give themselves some brave so that you can break it, and then they'll flinch, and then you can do normal damage again and brave damage again. So now that they have the brave back, I can do whatever to pretty much break it again. So I'm going to wait for the sap. And once that sap goes off, we will break A over there. Alright, so yeah, it's like this team feels like you're playing a blue deck in Magic the Gathering. Screw the computer doing much of anything. I guess the AI bosses here doing much of anything because they're just not gonna have a chance to. Anything threatening is pretty much wiped away with HP silence, and if they try to gain a bunch of brave, well, you can just, break it one way or another with Keiss or Ramza. It's kind of silly. So the main thing with this then becomes how well can you juggle everything between all the skills and make sure you don't burn out too fast. If you get really lucky with turn order and everything, you can wind up finishing this like in 80 turns, but otherwise, you know, you got 95 turns. A win's a win, so take it for whatever it's worth. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure you keep those HPs pretty similar. Because if you can't, then yeah, when the orb becomes back the second time around, it can just be really tricky. You want to keep everything really equal. It doesn't matter if you kill one first after the 50% mark. Thankfully, after that, they don't do the aqua power thing again if you don't give them the chance to. They most likely won't do it again. So on the 50% mark, I'm going to probably use my Jack call because it does an instant break on the LD version, which is handy. And I don't actually have any extra debuff slots I can use in part 2. So it's actually better to use Jack and Onion calls in this wave and save the cloud call I have for the second wave, because sometimes it's easier just to have a launch ready, right? So everybody has the launch capability ready. That's why I put cloud call on Arciela. Hey, if you can't do it with base cloud call, his boards are coming very, very, very soon. They have been confirmed at the last Squexed stream. So there we go. If you think you would like to have the LD call and you have cloud already, or are definitely pulling for cloud, you can't go wrong with that, by the way. He's an amazing Swiss Army knife. Go for it. And then you'll have his LD call, which should delay and everything, which will be very, very, very handy to have. Okay, so here comes the orbs again. And the aqua powers this time, since I don't have capacity break on, which is actually going to make things a little simpler. But I gotta wait until one of them get their turn. Keiss or Ramza that did these breaks. So it's really annoying that they take less HP till they get broken, but you gotta just deal with it. But that Jack call wasn't there for the damage this time. And thankfully, the calls too from Onion and Jack will add to the timer, which is very useful. Also, the moment they do break, they will begin taking regular brave damage. So the first hit, let's say you have them at 0, and then you hit for like 1. All the other hits after that will hit for whatever the normal brave amount they could deal would be, as you just saw there with that skill 1 from Arciela. So whenever you use Onion Call or him in your main party with Arciela, you always want to use your AA probably. And with somebody like Keiss, even though, yes, technically you could get a free use off of his skill 2, it's probably better to do the AA, because then you're getting a free aura, a small aura for your party, and the potential to have an enemy recover their brave from being broken. So that's always nice bonuses. That's giving yourself turn advantage. And there we go. Let's use that AA, get some stuff back, and then we can keep spamming them skills with Arciela. Even just having one use of Onion LD is pretty great for certain teams. It really makes a difference. It's got to be one of the best calls you can pick up. So, Onion was a little undersold, I feel like. And I feel bad about Arciela. I really feel like I should have sold her more because she makes this stage and either Transcendence stage an absolute joke with her HP silence spam. You want to just breeze through one, yeah, take Arciela. If you have her LD and you haven't built her all the way, and you're struggling with Transcendence on either node, in the first Crucible or the second, Arciela's your girl. Man, she's so silly here. And I feel bad not selling her higher on the podcast for the Crystal Chronicles podcast because I goofed there. I really did, and I didn't realize how much I goofed. I don't often study the JP meta, so I messed up there, and I do feel a bit bad, and there's just, it's one of those things where it's an honest mistake, but I have to call myself out on it, and transparency is, I feel, and honesty is something that you have to give on a channel as a content creator. So this is my mistake, but if you happen to have her LD and you happen to have her EX, or you just only have the LD but no EX, I would highly advise somehow trying to get her built if you have the means to do so, because she will help you so much on any of these Transcendence stages for this tier. And we're about to wrap up this wave, and seriously, it's so silly how much damage you can do with these launches if you prep them just right. This wave has, I think, they have less HP in this wave, but I just find them more annoying. And the orb's more annoying. The orb for wave 2 here is a lot easier. It doesn't appear until under 80%. And as long as you can keep one guy at 100% HP, you don't have to really worry too much about this orb. Now the tricky part about this orb though is that it doesn't go away after 80% and it is only 10 turns. So you gotta keep that HP really high throughout the whole fight so that you don't drain that orb early. So that's probably the trickiest aspect. But if you, as long as you can handle that, you should be good to go. Anyway, so you can pretty much lock these guys down. And since I was really careful with how I spammed my burst and everything, I was able to get to this wave, obviously, with my summon, which is the ideal. That's what you want to go for, if possible. It makes things a lot easier and smoother, especially once you get to the summon phase portion under 30%, because you can just spam every last one of your Keiss hero supports at that point. And you probably are going to want to try to keep at least 3, if not 4 of them. But you get a lot of extra uses. You know, you got the ones from the AA, so it's not like you can't use S2 ever during the battle. Just kind of be careful with how you time S2, especially since you need to save them for the points where they do this flames thing, and they gain like a poison HP poison aura until they're launched. And the launch damage doesn't matter here, guys. You just have to launch them. That's why, again, I brought, like I said, the Cloud finishing touch call, because I just felt like that would be the most useful one. And the nice thing is, if you launch one, then the other one can be launched immediately after. And so it's really ideal to try to keep their HP pretty equal so you can launch them at a pretty equal time. And since I also still have all 3 uses of my Ramza LD, that's going to be really nice too, because that'll let me abuse some things. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. They'll do this little cry, and then they'll do that flames ability. And once they do flames, that's when you gotta do the knockback. You'll see like this purple fire over their heads, like they have like a torch going on or something. Anyway, thankfully, once you launch them with any amount of damage, the flames will be extinguished, and hopefully you will have one character still at max HP so that you can keep the orb frozen. It only needs to be one character, not all your characters. And should you have issues with HP falling, just make sure you heal up as quick as possible. Do whatever it takes, because again, you have that 10 turns the whole fight. That's it. Like, you don't get to have another chance to increase it. It doesn't go away at any point. You're stuck dealing with that orb. So if you're doing an Arciela run like me here, just make sure you're paying attention and keeping the HP silence up at all times. You can live the Inferno Plus early on. I don't think you can live it later on. Like, it will probably kill your teammate. So just be aware of that. I think it's after, as long as it does it in the first half of this fight, you won't have problems. It's if you have it happen in the second half, so under 50%. I think I had a couple runs where I died like that because I accidentally mixed up like buffs or whatever, and yeah. So just keep that in mind. So thankfully this is kind of like, once you get to this point with the battle, as long as you keep those debuffs up and pay attention, just rotate carefully, especially with Arciela. You may have turns where you can't quite do, what is it? You can't go skill EX, just, you may have to sometimes do skill, then EX. But hopefully, for the most part, you can stick to skill EX. That's the ideal. Oh man, this launch is going to be great. Oh, I love a good launch. Look at that, 377,000. Good job. Good job, team. Squex Airlines is truly a feat, or is a thing to see. I think the launch thing's kind of newer for me. I have done it a little bit more now with Lufinia era, but I used to not do it too much in the past. I didn't really like doing launch teams, but they're a little more fun now with some of the character options that we have. Before it was kind of like really, it was kind of limited. It was like Lael or Dark Knight Cecil, and that's your choices for launch. That were really consistent about it. Cloud got better because of like his LD, especially allowing you to spam the finishing touches because you get the free cast off of Blade Beams. It's like an extra 4 launches. That's huge. And if you bring an Onion Knight call, that's an extra 1. If you have Onion Knight in your party, that's even more. It's so much better feeling than it used to be. So things like that really changed how you can approach launching in the game, where it was like kind of more limited before. Man, okay, so here we go. We gotta heal up that poor Keiss. So yeah, I told you guys I got hit with that Inferno Plus, and it hurts. And if I had gotten hit with that under 50%, it would have been death. It wouldn't have mattered if I didn't get broken or if I did get broken. It would be death. That'd be the end of the run. So if you're gonna get hit with Inferno Plus, like how I did here, don't let yourself have it happen under 50%. Oh man. Wow. So just pay attention at all points in the fight, because one small move and it's over. Alright, so we gotta go for that launch. Thankfully, though, here it's gonna be alright. And then I'll have to galvanize later, but it start healing up, because the next time these guys get a turn, the orb will unfreeze. That's when the orb will unfreeze. It doesn't do it immediately. It waits till they get another turn. How nice. They're friendly. What are they called? They're friendly competitors, I guess. They give some mad respect to do that. Okay, so they do it at under 50, and then there's going to be one more time they're going to do this. They're going to do it under the 30% mark, and that's the last time you have to worry about the flames aura thing. So once you do that, that's when you can start thinking about, if you have your summon, that's when you may want to consider a summon. But until then, you just got to kind of fight it out and let them play. And keep paying attention to those debuffs on the screen. As long as they're sticking it out, you're good to go. Thank goodness for Ramza's high turn rate on Galvanize and on Shout. It does help to set up some interestingly good launches depending on your team comp. Especially with somebody like Keiss. Or even Cloud. Or Dark Knight Cecil. Or if you're into that, you got Keiss and stuff too, who can also do the occasional launch. But yes, this it feels like with Transcendence, it's all about patience. And, you know, if it may take you a couple tries, there's nothing wrong with dying and losing and learning. Videos are going to show you the successful attempt. Not all the other attempts usually that went with that, or all the other, the full thought process of getting to the final product. That's kind of how it is with anything, when it comes to creation of art or music, etc. You don't always see the process that goes behind everything. You only see the finished product. And learning to appreciate the process as an artist is part of growing as an artist too, or as a creative. Even if you're a non-creative, it's a good thing to learn and appreciate the process of creation. I think it's one of the most important things you can do to better appreciate the effort behind any skill level of artistry that is created. So this way, even something that you might deem bad or like not interesting, at least, you know, you can understand that there's still effort that went into it. I know I'm kind of rambling, but like I feel like I need to get some of that off my chest, because I think a lot of people don't appreciate enough the effort that goes into any sort of creative endeavor, or streaming and all that other good stuff. Alright, so we're about to summon. We're, what, 24%? Oh boy, here we go. Big boy launches. Okay. Keiss really does enable some crazy launches, though. I skipped actually on him at the initial release. I know that's something like a lot of people didn't do. They pulled for him. But I'm glad I waited on Arciela and Keiss. I think they were worth waiting on, and I never felt I needed them during Chaos Era. I'm certain they were great characters, though. I have no doubt, considering all the videos I saw, and seeing them even in certain Lufenias early on and everything, I'm sure they were absolutely beastly characters. But it's nice that I didn't have to pull twice. So, in this case. I mean, there's times where that's just what you do because they're your favorite and you want to play them now. Sometimes just playing in the moment can be really fun. I've been trying to do that a little bit more. Keiss, I actually pulled for him after reading the Transcendence stages. I went, holy crap, I'm going to need this guy. And I pulled. And no regret, spaghetti's here. He was only... Well, it wasn't too bad. I think it was like 8 or 9 pulls. And I got it, so definitely not going to complain. But yeah, I had the gems and the means to do that. Of course, this is permanent content, so if you don't want to do it for whatever reason right now, you can always come back later and do it then when we have stronger characters or newer characters or just whatever. You know, that's kind of how it goes with this game. Half the content's permanent. You don't have to stress about it. And, I mean, you could probably skip a Lufenia here and there if you wanted to. I mean, you know, there's no shame in that. And, by the way, I don't think it really makes you a bad player or anything. I've skipped plenty of stuff in the past, and still have even in Lufenia. So, you know. Anyway, about to wrap this bad boy up on turn 94. Like I said, no shame in using almost all your turns, and I don't feel any at all. I did it faster when my practice run, but again, you know, commentary and other things, you know, depending on your luck, the turn order, that kind of thing, changes how you can approach the fight. So, there we go. That's how you win without Paladin Cecil or Gabrant. Yay! Anyway, guys, I really appreciate, as always, all of your support, and I will read any of your comments or your questions. I will respond as long as I see it. So, thank you again, and guys, this has been Arciela, and anyway, enjoy my team screen, and until next time, stay cool and have fun.